And I think the primary one is the leader setting the appropriate tone in the organisation. And what I mean by tone is ensuring that members of the organisation feel psychologically safe in terms of basically expressing ideas, identifying threats, identifying opportunities, contributing to the ongoing dialogue in the organisation as to how the organisation is progressing, what its major challenges are, and how it can overcome those challenges. So really a key ingredient for the leader, or a key ingredient that the leader needs to inject in the organisation, is this openness to alternative views, an openness to insight from outside the organisation, an openness to dialogue and debate within the organisation to ensure that the organisation learns from its environment. I think in today's environment it's vital that organisations are open to signals from their environment. There are rapid changes in demographics, world demographics, rapid changes in technology, rapid changes in marketplace trends. I think for an organisation to adapt and be clear around the implementation of its strategy, it needs to be open to these signals and needs to be able to process these signals within the organisation. And the processing of signals from the environment in the organisation takes place through individuals. And so individuals need to be able to identify the trends, express openly what those trends are, even if they fly in the face of the current strategy of the organisation. For high-performance teams, I think there are a number of characteristics that have been identified. I think one of them is to have a compelling goal that really all the members of the team commit to. So some overarching compelling goal that's important to members of the team and important for the organisation. So I think that's the first thing. I think the ability to translate that overarching goal into some specific objectives then becomes important. So, in a way, what we're talking about there is, what are we clear about what the team is trying to achieve? Is there absolute clarity about what the team is trying to achieve? And is what the team is trying to achieve itself inspiring of the commitment of the team members? So that's the first part. I think a second element then is to ensure that we have the best members of the team possible on the team. Like, to use a sports analogy, have we got the best players on the team? So that could be in terms of skill level, it could be in terms of functional expertise, but have we got the best skill level, the optimum skill mix in the team? I think another feature of a high-performance team is that there's mutual accountability. In other words, there's interdependence. It's not as simple as we have a collection of individual contributors. There must be some sort of interdependence among the team, that people are depending on each other. And because they're depending on each other, there's a great sense of mutual accountability in the team, that people hold each other responsible and feel personally responsible for the outcomes of the team. So I think those are key ingredients for high-performance teams. I think in leading a high-performance team, I think the nature of leadership can depend on the particular task that the team has to face. Normally we expect people to take a lead in team by virtue of hierarchical authority. But I think in a high-performance team, because of this notion of mutual accountability, I think people can take leadership roles within the team, notwithstanding the fact that they may not be the most senior person on the team or the most hierarchically senior person on the team. But in fact, they're the ones with the greater insight, the greater facilitation skills, the greater leadership skills in particular contexts. And so they may step up to the plate in order to lead the team at particular junctures. I think feedback is absolutely vital in both leadership and organisation development. I think in terms of leadership, I think it's vitally important to get feedback from a variety of sources, and not just perhaps one's fan club, which is which we can fall into a trap of, that we just solicit feedback from people we know and people perhaps we know who like us. I think what's critically important is to get feedback from a range of people, and the reason feedback is so vitally important is it helps us reflect on the impact we're having on others, the impact we're having on the task. And naturally we can reflect on that individually, but more importantly, if you get feedback from customers, if you get feedback from co-workers, from subordinates, from peers, that becomes vitally important to sort of enhance the range of stimuli that we're getting about the impact of our own behaviour, the impact of our own performance on other people. So I think feedback in the developmental sense is absolutely critical for leaders. And also I think it's critical for leaders to know the impact they're having, because naturally they may assume they're having certain impacts and there may be certain unintended consequences of that. So being open to feedback is absolutely critical. I think the other thing, of course, is in providing feedback. I think it's vital to be able to provide feedback to people so that they can develop, So, the art of both soliciting feedback and providing feedback, I think is a key leadership art. I think in terms of organisations, naturally again, the source of learning in organisations is really feedback. You need, if you take the experiment, if you introduce the new product, you need to get feedback from the market. You need to see what's working. So, the ongoing feedback process of, hearing from the market, hearing from competitors is absolutely vital to organisational adaptation.